Thank you for joining me today on Paint a Beautiful Picture. This is episode number 177, Blended Families. In the United States today, over 50% of marriages end in divorce. In certain demographics, that figure is as high as 70%. That means that on average, 5 or 6 out of every 10 children will end up either living with a single parent or living in a blended family. And very honestly, it's usually in a blended family. So we're just going to talk briefly about what that looks like. This will not be extensive. I acknowledge that to you. But it is really something that we need to talk about. I had a stepdaughter that I raised. She lived at our house with us 5 days a week and every other weekend. So honest and really, about 24 days out of 30 every single month. And so I experienced this on that side. Also, my mom and dad were divorced when I was a little kid. My mom remarried, and though we never had to live there, we had to go there. Most of us couldn't stand the guy that she was married to. And thank heavens we never had to deal with his kids. I only met them once, and it was a terrible experience. I share that with you because what if you're going to marry someone and you don't get along very well with their kids? You can't stand their ex, and but you're going to be their stepmom. You're going to be their stepdad. You're going to have something to do with them, and you're going to have this situation if you stay married for the rest of your life. And that's a challenge. I think a lot of times people don't think through what it's all going to mean to their kids. They get divorced and they meet this new person and they care about this new person. They learn to love this new person. Well, their kids are going to love them. Don't bank on that. Just saying. But that's kind of often the attitude. I won't be sexist and say that it happens more often on one side than the other, but I have experienced that. I don't know. I haven't looked truthfully at the data enough to know that it's more one-sided than the other in terms of gender. So I'm just going to stick to a gender neutral attitude that both dads and moms occasionally do really foolish things in trying to blend together a family. I'm going to share with you a story of a couple where the dad had custody of his kids and the mom married another guy who had custody of his. So the dad in situation number one had a daughter and a son, and the dad in situation number the other family where the mom married the guy that had his kids, that was also a son and a daughter. Whenever the son and the daughter from the dad's house would go to visit their mom, their stepdad, because he already had a son and daughter and he knew all about raising kids, he talked to his stepkids like he knew all about them. They were entirely different people from his own kids. Both of his stepkids couldn't stand him, didn't like the way that he treated his own kids, didn't like the way that he treated their mother, and certainly didn't like the way that they were treated. I could not even describe to you how ugly all of this got. The dad, who had his son and his daughter, the original dad, he got married. That was a bad marriage, his second one. They were divorced within about a year, so he put his kids through all that. Then he married a woman who also has a son and a daughter, and she had them. And they were younger. They were not teenagers. So now this dad, the first one, he has his son and his daughter who are already bitter about the divorce with the second wife and going through everything in relationship to their stepdad. Now they have a younger brother and a younger sister to contend with. All I can say to you is this. Those two kids both have a lot of trouble. They're young adults, and they're both really struggling with a lot of things. They struggle with their place in the world. They struggle with authority. They struggle with depending on other people. They just have a lot of unresolved things. And it happened because of the blending of different families that they had to go through, and they were supposed to blend, and they didn't, and it didn't go very well. It was just all kinds of ugly for them. I share that with you because I don't think it's an unusual story, nor do I think it's an exception. I think lots and lots of kids who get blended don't blend well, and they struggle with this for the rest of their lives. They feel like they failed because, after all, their mom married this guy and she's pretty happy, and so I should just go along, but I really can't. So they failed, and they feel like something is really wrong with them because all kinds of people, I have friends who got their mom and dad got divorced, and they've got stepbrothers and they've got stepsisters and they've got half brothers, and they're okay, but I'm not okay. I mean, obviously something is not okay with me. I'm like not even like regular people. Yeah, it just brings up so many things. So if you're going to get married and remarried and you're going to attempt to blend a family, let's see if I can give you a little help. Let me see if I can give you some information that I hope and pray might make a difference. One, don't go too fast. Really and truly. I know people who have had affairs and got someone else pregnant, or they got pregnant and they ended up tearing apart a home and running off and getting married and then just expecting everybody else to handle it. Oh, don't move too fast. As I have said and will say again, I know two mistakes don't make the first one better. Just because you're pregnant doesn't mean you need to hurry up and get married. No, that's not it. Trust me about this. So, don't put all this onto your kids. Give them some time. I would say up to 2 years. I'm dead serious about that. You need to make a commitment to yourself that you're going to stay unmarried for a couple of years and allow your kids to process what happened in the divorce and how they feel. And you're going to actively work with them on this and know and understand that you love them and you're not giving up on them. Don't hurry. Give them some time because they need it. Frankly, so do you, but you might not know it. I'm just saying, give some time. Then, when you do decide that you're going to get married and you really love this person and you're pretty committed to them, allow your kids to express what they really think and feel. And you're the grown up. Handle it. If they go, man, mom, I really hate this guy. He's a jerk. Let them talk about that. What do you hate? Well, he's not dad. Well, no, no, no. What do you hate about him? Well, he's not dad. Well, that's different. You hate the situation. You don't hate him. You're not even giving him a fair chance. You know, dad, this chick is the very person who broke up yours and mom's marriage. I mean, you got her pregnant. She's got a baby. Like, hello, what in the world? And you think I'm supposed to like her? She's the tramp that broke you up. I mean, granted, this is a 16-year-old. You're probably not going to hear this from a 5-year-old. They might have the same emotional stance, but they don't know how to say it to you. They don't feel safe with this person, and they're pretty sure they're going to get displaced in your affections by this baby. You need to handle what your kids are going through, and you need to let them talk to you the best of their ability. And if they don't even have the words, you need to ask them or talk to them. And this is not a one-time good deal conversation. This is an ongoing conversation because their feelings will not just stay static. They're going to change and rearrange, and they might really like them, and then you get married, and then they hate their guts. I've seen that too. All right. So you got to give them some time to express what they're feeling. Really let them talk about it. And then you need to make an intelligent decision. And I'm going to say this to you straight. Is that woman, is that guy more important to you than your children? Like you are just going to go ahead and marry them knowing that your kids really hate their guts? Oh, and they have legitimate reasons? Are you really going to do that? Because the message you're going to give your child right there is this person is a lot more important to me than you. That might be the real truth. You might be sending an accurate message, but you better know the message you're sending. That's all I want you to know. But they can learn to like this person. They can work with them. They're going to adjust. Great. They don't hate the other person's kids. They figure they're going to work it out. You get married, and now at least every other weekend, if not every weekend, and sometimes every day, you're all together. If those kids are over 7, I'm going to say. They've had an entirely different foundation than your kids. Don't walk in the door and tell them all about how it's going to be. Okay. Think about the way they were raised, and when possible, allow their primary parent to be that primary parent. And over time, this dance of the interactional process will change and you'll all learn together. But initially, give that some space and let that primary parent be that primary parent. This might be real stressful on the kids. This set of kids has a different set of rules or a different set of consequences than yours. That's all right. You're going to have to deal with that. And then aim to, within a year or so, come closer to some middle ground with each other. So that marriage is going to take a whole lot more compromise and cooperation than the other one took, where little kids or even middle kids are involved. You can expect some real headaches with teenagers. Even if it's a wonderful person and your former spouse is a wonderful person, you can still expect that. Because that kid is legitimately upset, emotionally angry, not happy about being abandoned or betrayed. Because a boy is always going to feel that way when his dad leaves his mom. Like his dad abandoned and betrayed his mom. And that boy's natural protective instincts are going to kick in. And no matter if she's the most wonderful woman on earth, this new stepmom is going to have some issues with a teenage boy. And honestly, if a little girl sees this guy who's not her daddy loving all over her mom, she's going to have problems with that. She's going to have identity issues with that and who she gives her heart and her affections to. You have to own up to the fact that when you break apart a family, it has ramifications and it's going to continue to have ramifications. You need to deal with it as head on as you can. You need to listen as attentively as you can to your child's emotions and your child's ideas and your child's disappointments and frustrations and things that they're angry about. And you need to work through that and allow that to happen with you, as painful as that might be for you. When you have stepkids and they're at each other's throats, which is very frequently the case, you need to tell them. In your lifetime, you will work alongside of people that you don't particularly like, that you wouldn't necessarily choose as your friend, but you're in the exact same department, you're on the same committee, and you do have to work with them. This is a great training ground for real life. You have to learn how to get along and manage it, even if you don't like them. I'm not asking you to like them. I'm certainly not asking you to love them. I'm asking you to live alongside of them and work alongside of them with a spirit of cooperation and with a good attitude. You can say that. That's a very fair thing to say. Be careful with kids that were raised perhaps in a little less structured environment than your original family, because sometimes I've seen stepkids or other half siblings, step siblings, really pull kids in a bad direction. So you need to have as honest of conversations as you can prior to marriage about what that previous home was like. If there was abuse in that home, including a wife who's getting out of an abusive situation and you're going to marry her and you're a very kind man, you have to know that her kids are going to have issues that your kids aren't going to have, that you might even have a hard time understanding. So, again, I always recommend this. It never hurts to get your hands on a good counselor. Let them help you and your children work through the process of things. But I will say this. I had a really great friend in junior high school. Her mom and dad got divorced, and it wasn't a messy one. It was pretty amicable, but they really were not a well situated or suited couple. And her dad got married again. And actually, she loved her stepmom. And her stepmom was smart enough not to try to replace her own mother. She said, I'm your dad's wife, but that doesn't make me your mom. You have a mom. Now, I'll be your friend and I will act like your mom when you're in my home, but I'm not your mom. I am your dad's wife. And I do really love you. and they had an amazing relationship, and it did not detract from her relationship with her mom. I had a lot of respect for that person. I still do to this day. I think she was one of the smartest people I ever saw. Don't try to compete and don't try to replace the other parent. That's not who you are. You're never going to be their dad. You're never going to be their mom. You're their stepdad. You're their stepmom. Do a great job at that. That's enough right there to handle without trying to be a replacement, I promise. All right, we didn't even hardly scratch the surface, but at least I hope I gave you some things to think about. If you're going to blend a family, or if you are part of a couple who is attempting to blend your families by bringing your children together, my challenge question is this: how are we doing at blending our families, at having a family where we have cooperation and a good attitude of working alongside one another? That's the beginning point. So, how's that going? Please leave me your comments, your questions, or your suggestions. Thank you for being with me today on Paint a Beautiful Picture. You may find additional information on our paintabeautifulpicture.com website. Additionally, you may watch me on Rumble, and you may also listen to a podcast on Buzzsprout or Spreaker, all under the name Paint a Beautiful Picture. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. You may subscribe, and if you are interested in receiving notifications, please hit the notifications button.